All right, everybody. Let those notifications go out. Let me go ahead and do our usual uh, engineering stuff that we got to do while that let y'all know we are here. Uh, yeah. Yes. It took a couple minutes because the software update for the PC went through while I was getting ready because it was time and it needed Wi-Fi connection for it to go through. So I had to do some rebooting and get them things going. But we're going to talk about the heightened awareness, you all, because it's very important. Because heightened awareness allows us to not just see the enemy's stuff, like you can't hide in plain sight anymore, uh, and it's spiritual awareness as well. So getting that balance between the spiritual and the physical. See, once you achieve that, it doesn't matter what the devil tries to do. It doesn't matter what any of these Jezebels or narcissists try to do to us, not even in the physical. They can't touch the spiritual, okay? The righteousness, okay? The righteous spiritual. They can't even touch that. They can't even mirror that, right? So there's nothing that they can do that's going to throw us off balance ever again. Once you got it and you with God maintain, right, that emotional regulation no matter what, because you've got control of yourself and you've also got control of your empathy switch. Once that happens, it doesn't matter what the devil tried. Even though these narcissists out here will continue to perceive the opposite, sure, but heightened awareness is really important in God's reality because without it, that's right, you can continue to be deceived over and over again, and God does not want that for you all. He does not want that for any of His chosen ones because we are in a spiritual battle for the mind between chosen ones and narcissists. Remember, it's easier to view the human host of demon spirit as a narcissist. We know that they're a narcissistic abuser, right? We know that, and we know that the narcissists are actual demon spirit. However, for simplicity, we just say narcissist, okay? And that's what we're talking about because truly that is in the spiritual battle, right? It is because we're battling against spiritual wickedness in high places. We're battling against their demon spirits, right? Yes, with our thoughts and action and things like that. We have to go through the renewing of the mind to get that heightened awareness. All right. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not the only one that can tell you this. Because before God awakened us, and we didn't know what we're learning now and what we've learned so far, it continued. God revealed He is a promise keeper. I'm telling you, when He says He's going to reveal all, you may as well put the word ALL in all caps because God is not kidding about that. Okay? You just got to be paying attention. All right, let's get these formalities out of the way while those notifications still go on out. I know it takes about 5 to 10 minutes or so. All right, for those of you who are interested in joining us to do so if you've got the time. And for those who catch us on the replay, that's awesome too. All right, so thank you. And never forget, if you've got questions about anything, you can always leave those in the comments and I will get to those as soon as possible. All right, everybody, I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel, Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. That's right. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more here and at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. The link to the Academy is in the video description below for quicker access. Some of you may need to copy and paste the link to view what CHAAcademyBTBW.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. All right, so let's stay with it, okay, you all, because I understand that the more aware we become, the more we're going to notice. Think about that. It's a big reason why the enemy does not want people getting heightened awareness. Because the more aware we are, the more we notice. Yeah, for years, did we ever catch inside that matrix? Did we ever catch the symbols? No, but we do now. We start paying attention to that stuff because we understand that the narcissistic matrix is the demonic realm. It's right there in front of us, has been our entire life. We just did not see that yet. We couldn't. We were under at least a half of cloud of cognitive dissonance, aka confusion. Because think about it. All those years of noticing action not matching word, all the contradictions, right? Over time, what's that going to do? Yeah, it's going to induce brain fog. But here's the thing with chosen one, right? Fellow spiritual warriors for Christ. Let me tell you that we were never under a full cloud of cognitive dissonance. No, we couldn't be. So this is why God brings things back to our remembrance once that brain fog starts to lift. Think about it, okay? Once that brain fog starts to lift, God starts to bring things back that we noticed. Now we can connect the dots. Oh, now we know what that was. And that, no, they're not just having a bad day. That's who they really are. So we learn to no longer excuse bad behaviors. We no longer entertain it. We get better at ignoring them. Ignoring them is not turning a blind eye, because what are we doing? Turning around and exposing them. Now remember something about Jezebel, y'all. They've got a knack for exposing themselves. So we really don't have to do much there. All right, they really do. They have a knack for that. They will expose themselves because Jezebel, they're just, at that point, when they become a Jezebel, it's done for them. They know it. It's done for them and they know it. So they're going to expose themselves. The bullies that they really are. Think about it. Okay? So we realize as chosen one that, we are not, we were never meant to stay inside that narcissistic matrix like that. We were never meant to. And so God gets us out of that into his reality. Now, mind you, a lot of y'all still are navigating through that, right? You still have to go to work and things like that. We understand this. So you just have to learn how to walk away from it in spirit. See, that's what we mean by when we walk away from the fallen Babylonian wall. We walk away in spirit. And we don't allow ourselves to get all caught up in the chaos and drama, because we come to realize something else, right? Remember Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9, where it is not anything new under the sun. It's the same old, day in and day out, year after year after year. It's Groundhog Day inside the narcissistic matrix. And so we realize, oh, wow, chosen ones were never meant to live like that. Chosen ones were never meant to live inside that way. We were never meant to, oh gosh, it's why the programming doesn't work on chosen one. Think about it. Yeah, all of that programming, that conditioning, the hypnosis, inside the matrix, to sit down, be quiet, obey, don't ask questions, right? Okay, chosen one, none of that ever really worked on us. We did not know before God awakened us to the spiritual battle that we are in. We just were kind of like, okay, just floating along because we didn't know anything else yet. And so now we realize, oh, hold on a second. That's not living. That's getting up, doing the same thing at the same time. I'm not talking about structure, y'all. We got to have some structure. Yeah, what I'm talking about is exactly. Y'all have seen this. We've seen this. We've been, we've done this before, but when God awakens us, we have to learn how to take those leaps of faith. That's what God's waiting on. Somebody needs that one right there. Yeah, one of y'all sitting there wondering, okay, I've done everything that God has asked me to do up to this point. What next? God's waiting on you to take that leap of faith. You need to see that. Once God sees you taking leaps of faith, wait. When you take your first leap of faith and God sees that you're ready, all right then. But you got to take that leap of faith. So that's what God's waiting on with some of y'all. And welcome. Hello. Hi. Are you doing a C in the new year? No. We don't get involved in that either. Seriously. We do not celebrate none of that crap like that. Now, mind you, I am preparing something for the new year for you all. Okay? Just wait. Got something for you all going into the new year because I'm in my new place. It's not new anymore. I've gotten more settled. And God's doing another switch up with our social media structure for the new year and all of that. So thank you for your patience. I finally got the Patreon Truth Analyzer podcast episode 23 up. Yeah. We've just been in some regrouping and, a season of, okay, because God revealed to me that, see, the enemy does not know. Okay, because the enemy doesn't know where we're at in our progress since that incident, right? The enemy does not know. Has no way of knowing. Now, only the enemy can assume because the enemy bases things off of 1 year cycles. So if I was still eating poorly and things like that, it probably would take a year. But God said, honey, Charlie, we're ahead of schedule because God hates things on his time. The enemy can't control that. God is in full control. And so as far as bringing in the new year, no. I haven't done that actually for quite some time. I mean, at least a couple of years, but like staying up past midnight, no, it's been a long time since I did that. Long time. But now as far as having maybe a toast or something with people before I knew who they were, sure. Because I was still celebrating all that other stuff too. But not anymore. Okay. And not for a couple of years now. Okay. And then a few years for other stuff. It was a process. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn about the pagan traditions first. And so when I realized, all you have to do is rearrange a letter in, the jolly red suit guy. All you had to do is change one letter. What do you got? That's right, Satan. Go figure. Once that sunk in, I was like, we have got to stop celebrating that. And so it went from there. And then, right, and so it was there was a Thanksgiving. I was still doing that to an extent, but then we skipped that following one, and then the next one, and then the following year we stopped with the Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? Little at a time, and then of course the Easter thingy, we quit that a long time ago. So on New Year Eve bananas, when that midnight thing smacks of witchcraft, and it's full of witchcraft. You don't have the demon of assumption, fellow warrior. So you'll just have to kind of be like, do you have earplugs? They come in handy. Mm-hmm. Those foam earplugs. That can help. Because even I have some. Yeah. Because even without these, y'all, I'm not 100%. I'm not deaf. It's just I'm a little hard of hearing, but not deaf. And it has improved slightly in some areas too. So there you go. God takes care of things on his time. But yeah, I highly encourage y'all, if you do have any issues with fireworks, what have you, earplugs. That's the only tip I got for you. Really. And I know that can be it's a noisome pestilence. Remember what God says about noisome pestilences too, right? There you go. Absolutely. Okay. Well, there you go. There's your ear defenders. Problem solved. There you go. See? Chosen ones, we got to think outside the box. Where there's resistance, we always find a way around it. So we can really look at this, as part of our heightened awareness that we need to have. We got to think of these things like this, right, as another attempt by a narcissist to disrupt people's sleep. Think about it. What does the enemy like to do? Yeah, he likes to disrupt people's sleep so that they are sleep deprived. And never forget, like I said in the previous message, that is so our bodies don't heal properly. But there you go. Yeah, because all of these things out here, all these celebrations and stuff, God told me, put away those childish things. Right? 1 Corinthians 13:11. Because, I understand now, for those who have kids and you're not able to, because they don't know yet, okay? So it's all about that discernment. But I want y'all to know something. I found a younger adult, glory be to God, on TikTok who knows the truth about Christmas. He knows the truth and he's out there spreading the truth. And I'm like, yay. And I share his truth to our TikTok story as well. Because it's very important to understand that the only thing they did, like he said, the only thing they did is they just attached Jesus' name to it so that people would celebrate it. It's witchcraft. It instilled is a mindset. Right? It's a distraction. Glitz and glam, bright light, shiny stuff. Come on now. Child's play. So I'm going to tell you, when we get out from under that, we're pulling down strongholds like that. We're like, oh my gosh, burden being lifted off our shoulders because we're no longer being held down by that demon of obligation to have to go and buy stuff for people that we don't even like. Let that sink in. Yeah, we're feeling obligated to have to go and buy gifts for people we don't even like. Come on now. I'm like, I don't have to do that no more. Come on, I'm being honest, y'all. Real talk. Yeah, y'all know that. And so, right. Yeah, being prepared. Being prepared for the madness. There you go. That's right. Being prepared for the madness. Well, that's all we can do. That is all that we can do. Because we know how it goes down, right? We know what's going to go down. We know, okay. And many of us, we're going to be in bed already anyway. And because we outgrow these things like we're supposed to. We're supposed to outgrow that stuff. For those of us who can, walk away from it, we do. And, it's just, oh my gosh, it just helps to protect our peace too. Never forget that. Right, we don't, oh, yes, thank you. We don't have to pretend anymore. Thank you. Oh, yeah, seriously. With all of those, like, pretend like, well, it's like, yeah, a lot of times when gatherings would take place, I know y'all can relate to this because I'm going to be honest with you. When gatherings would take place, family or whatever, I realized, because when I was driving truck, over the road trucking, and I'd be halfway across the country with a load just to have the Jezebel that birthed me try and make me feel obligated because they're holding some family get together, but I'm unable. I can't just whip this 53-foot trailer around. I got an expected delivery time in California. What do you expect me to do, right? Oh no, they were expecting me to just stop and I'm like, no, can't do. I'm working. No, can't do. But boy, she tried with that demon of obligation. I felt the pull. At the time, I didn't know what it was. Now I do, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, she was trying to manipulate. So when I realized later on, yeah, because I didn't realize, we don't know these things until God awakens us to them, right? I was like, oh, she was trying to manipulate. Okay. So they're in my mid-20s to late 20s. Okay. While I was driving truck. Okay. So she did do it. But I didn't dwell on it. I didn't know about narcissism at the time. Didn't know about all of these things yet that we're learning together and have learned so far. Getting that heightened awareness. And so once I started to remember how God works, right? He revealed the narcissist at the individual level, then in work, then in the family, or at work, better yet, then inside the family. And so by the time he was revealing them to me inside my own family, I was like, yeah, I wasn't surprised anymore. I was not surprised anymore. I was like, okay, I see what's going on. And so God brought that back to my remembrance. I was wondering, I was like, okay, has she always been that way? I know that the narcissistic abuse is slow and subtle, just like radio frequency poisoning over years, okay? I know it's slow and subtle, but when did she become that way? You know, I remember asking God that. I was like, when was she like that? And he brought that to my remembrance. He said, remember when she tried to make you feel obligated to go do things you were unable to do and didn't want to do? See, that's manipulation right there. That's abuse. That's psychological and emotional abuse. So, yeah. Okay. Your defender's at the ready and blanket over the head. Whatever works, man. Whatever works. That's what we got to do, right? And so, yeah, now I don't expect, well, considering that this is my first, being located in this location, I don't know what goes down with that. I've learned for the other thing, how things work and stuff like that. But I even got some extra pairs. So, anywho, but yeah, God brought that back to my remembrance as part of that heightened awareness. You see, these are the little details that many of us dismissed far too easy. But now that we know, right? Now that we know about narcissism and the abuse associated with it, we're able to connect these dots for that heightened awareness. Right? Never forget, the devil doesn't want people knowing these things. But he also needs us to share these things because he needs to know whether or not his tactics are still working on whoever. He can clearly see it's not working on chosen one. But if he could see that it's working on his flying monkey narcissist, he's fine with that. He wants to see it work on chosen one, but it won't. Remember that. Chosen one are not affected by. I'm not going to talk about the side of witchcraft that part of narcissistic, the narcissistic abuse is witchcraft. That did affect us to a point until God awakened us to and from all of that. So as far as the other thing, right, it's not going to work. They can try and chant a spell. They can try, they can continue to pray for our downfall, but it's not going to work. No weapon formed against thee shall prosper. So, yeah, they can form the weapon all they want, but it's not going to penetrate God's armor. Make sure you're armoring up. That's a big one right there. So we don't ever want to forget that, because there's heightened awareness, because we're able to go, okay, hold on a second. With that heightened awareness, you can maintain balance. Maintaining the balance in spiritual. That's right. See, this is what happens. You start to learn, okay, here's the spiritual. All right, we're going to sort through it, right? And we get, okay, now I got the balance of the spiritual. This is part of getting the balance between the physical and the spiritual. It's all part of the process. So once you're like, okay, we got the balance in the spiritual, we see what's going on. Nothing new under the sun. All negative spiritual energies and emotions, those are the demon spirits. Okay. We become familiar with them, right? But we don't entertain them. We expose. And then in the physical, because you're getting reconnected in mind, body, and spirit to overcome triggers. That spiritual energy, we get a better understanding of that too. And so then because what happens is that you're able to be physically balanced as well as part of the awareness. Let me share with you also, because the enemy, with the incident that went down, all right, it's just the only example I can think of that will help paint the clearest picture possible. Because what happened was, right, get the metal molecules inside the excess mucus that I contributed to, okay? I do own up to that, right? And so in the head, right, starts with the head. Then blast that radio frequency, right, getting short bursts of electrical shocks here and there, and metal staples up there that's right, and then keeping an area numb, right? Remember, got to keep the autonomic nervous system numb just enough to where we won't know what's really going on underneath. And so, how do I know this? Experience and research, of course, but God revealing these things to me. So during the very beginning, when I was bouncing back and forth between hotels, okay, I was able to maintain physical balance because God, okay, his name is Jesus, right, on the inside. And then God guiding my steps, telling me to slow down a little bit. I want you to pay attention. So I want you to pay attention to what your body goes through, because God says, I'm going to connect dots for you. Like, okay, all right. So as the autonomic nervous system starts to, more specifically, the parasympathetic nervous system as part of it, okay, as it starts to wake back up, okay, God revealed these connections to me, to the radio frequency, all of the things, the incident that went down, the areas that were targeted, and the fact that this side, circulation goes from right to left, and then from left to right, then also goes this way. Our circulatory system goes many different ways. How did he reveal that to me? Because this right here, right? Yeah, with the wine glass, right? Okay. And so I have, right, one of the pings, right, on the inside of my left thigh when I put ice there. I was like, oh, I see that connection. Okay, so that's that heightened awareness. you're able to maintain balance so that you can notice these things. And it's like, okay, because God had to reveal these things so I would know where the self-care needed to go. That's how God guides our steps. When we're listening and we're paying attention, that heightened awareness, staying vigilant and aware, right? So that the enemy, whatever he tries to dish out, will not throw us off balance anymore. He could try and catch us off guard only so often before we catch on to the fact that he did that too. And we don't let him do that anymore. That's right. So, exactly. Because that, when I got that knock on the door, right, I was getting ready to eat my dinner, it threw me off for a second. And almost, right, but we got out of that. And so then the second time, I got a knock on the door and it was dark out. I wasn't sure what was going on. And she got the door shut in her face. We don't allow him. So now if I'm not expecting a delivery or maintenance or what have you, no, I'll take a look and see, but we don't let him. Don't let the enemy catch us off guard anymore. That's part of that awareness. So, that God needs us to have. So that way we stay balanced. Because I'm telling you, with all that going on at the very beginning, with all that heat, right? And then it's hot outside, right? See, the enemy did not bank on this. That this girl right here has always been able to tolerate heat. It bothers me like that. Never has. Because I think of Jesus walking across that hot desert. Right? He ain't got no sunblock. He's wearing whatever it is, probably some light clothing, I'm sure. And maybe some sandals or flip-flop. I don't know. We don't know. Or barefoot. So that's what I think of. I'm like, look, if Jesus do it, so can we. And we know that's true now because we can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth us. Of course. So that being said, I understood that the metal toxins that got up here were heated, so it makes you feel a little wonky. And then the outside heat. So now I've got the internal heat, right? I've got excessive salt that's holding water, that's swelling up. Okay. Because the swelling, right, is going to force you to do what? Right, you gotta figure out how to not cut off circulation to certain areas of the body, right? Or anywhere for that matter. Exactly. So God said, okay, I need you to get out and start walking. Start walking. And start paying attention. And so that's what we started doing. Back and forth. And then finally we got in here. So getting in here. And because the enemy was hoping, because all of that heat on the inside and then outside tends to make you feel like you are actually heavier than you really are. Because the enemy was hoping that I would lose my balance physically. We never did. Because God guides our steps. And I was already aware. See, that's the point, y'all. Heightened awareness. You are already aware because you are aware of, okay, what's going on with the body, where you're at, and things like that. And you also already know about radio frequency. You have the education you need. You have other things that you understand. You know yourself well enough to hold up a second. And then you're like, all right. And so God guided our step. And he continues to do so. Because with that heightened awareness, you're able to stay balanced. And another part of being able to stay balanced is learning to slow down. We do not have to move as fast as the Matrix tried to tell us we did. That's the trick of the devil. The devil wants you to rush. What happens when we rush things? We mess it up. So we don't want to get ahead of God. So, for example, to help y'all put it in perspective, God will have us do some things swiftly. Okay, like he had us with this ministry. He had us get well over 1,000 videos on this YouTube channel. He had us put together the Patreon channel, been building it. Then he had us get the academy up and running. He had us get stuff across multiple platforms. And so now we're in the right, just basically fine-tuning and tweaking and continuing to build. He had us get everything in position. Okay? A little at a time. And then now, knowing that I was going to have to do some seasons of extra self-care. Well, extra self-care, and then extra self-care, and then now just regular self-care to get through this. So while we're doing that, God says, okay, we don't have to do the thing the same way we were doing them before. Okay? Because we got that heightened awareness, maintaining that balance, and that also means emotional regulation through the whole thing. Let me tell y'all something. Because going through that, oh, sure, the old version of me probably would have been like, great, what is going on? You know what I'm saying? The old version of me would have been like, okay, I don't get this. But the new version of me is like, hold up a second. Because we're trusting God 100%, like we're supposed to. Consulting with God first. And asking him what he wants us to do about that or that or that. And I'm going to tell y'all, whenever something would show up, finally, because keeping the autonomic nervous system numbed just enough also can hide internal bruising. So I wouldn't know that a bruise was there. Now I do. And God's like, okay, I'm going to show you. And I want you to go buy another big container of mustard. I was like, okay. And then an extra ice pack. All righty then. That's what I asked God. I was like, okay, because now that I see it. Okay, so, the guilt trip. That's right. The guilt tripping, if you didn't want to attend a particular function, yep, never talk to me again if I didn't. Because you have that in writing. Wow, that is very common right there. Yep. And as far as that in my life, no, that's actually been taken care of. Thank you for asking. And with heightened awareness, can this include heightened nervous system awareness? Yep. And improved brain function? Yep. That can come out from weight training? Yep. Absolutely, because you get clarity, right? You don't have, right, because you are making the changes that you need to make, because exercising and weight training does what? And walking and staying active does what? Exactly. Okay? It keeps your circulation. Okay, right. It gets it in motion. And what's being circulated? Nutrients, right? Hopefully. But at the same time, toxins are working their way out of the body. So what the enemy wants to do is keep people unaware of that truth so that they will continue to hold in harmful toxins. The metal toxicity, right? That comes from radio frequency exposure over time. Because it's the metals that do the ping ping, right? So yes, when I say internal bruising, I'm talking about in my case, it's very minor. But yes, it depends on the severity and where. It can be if you don't see it. So that's the thing, is that, right, the enemy tried to prevent me from being able to see where the bruises were, because if I know where they're at, then I know where to put the ice, right? There you go. But yeah, and that's the thing. You know, God told me, He was like, yeah, He said, they have to tell us the truth, that, you know, what we went through is, you know, yeah, they're minor injuries. Yes, and oxygen to the brain and the muscle. Absolutely. Okay. Improved nervous system. Oh, yeah, absolutely. From exercising. The enemy knows this. And so you happen to drink some tap water, and it had a distinct metallic taste, but no bleach taste on this occasion. Okay, see? When you start to make changes in your lifestyle for the better, you start to notice these things. This is what the enemy doesn't want. Okay, a distinct metallic taste to the water. Let that sink in. You know what? I noticed in this water here, the tap water, sulfur. That's a gas. So, yeah, we learned to detect these things, because as our awareness gets heightened, our senses improve. Colossians 2:19 comes to mind, because we're told that, yeah, everything, the closer to God we are, the more we will increase. The more God will increase. So He sharpens our spiritual discernment with that heightened awareness. And He, not, you know, about our bodies and ourselves, He's revealing to us, and we're asking Him, okay? And so He reveals these things to us so that He can guide our step as to what to do about these things. So we don't allow the enemy to trick us into thinking things are worse than they really are. Because that's what the enemy wants. Remember, we're in a spiritual battle for the mind. So our thoughts. Okay? It's all in how we think. All in how we think. Because what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if we tell ourselves something about ourselves, that's why we have to be mindful. Be aware. See, when your conscious becomes aware of the subconscious, you can do this. You can be more aware of, don't tell yourself bad things about yourself. Speak positivity over your life. Because that, all right, is what you want. Positive and good, righteous. You don't want to tell yourself negative things about yourself. That is not the way chosen one should be. Because God says, I have big plans for you. Right? God says He's not going to harm us. He wants to prosper us. That prospering is what? Increasing. So we have to change that thinking as part of the awareness. Because when we become more aware of our thoughts, we're in better control of them. And we don't allow the enemy to get any illusion of control over our thoughts anymore. Okay, how to purge the subconscious of worldly garbage. See, I did a drive-by with Michelle, and I also did a live stream. Let me make a note here, all right, Chris, and on the replay, we'll make a note here to find, because I have some stuff for you all about that. Unlearning worldly garbage. So great question. I'm going to find all those links to the video in the description. All right, I'm going to get to it. By the time y'all catch this part on the replay, it's already going to be there. Okay? There's several links. And see, I believe our December 2023 newsletter that came out on the 1st of December plays a role in that too. Just for anybody who got that, okay? And if you still have that in your email, I highly encourage you to take another look at that. That goes with this Unlearning Worldly Garbage, okay, that newsletter, December of 2023. And I'm going to go ahead, make sure I get that before I head out to run an errand. I'm going to make sure I get that in the description for y'all, okay? One of them is drive-by, and the other, I believe, is a live stream that we did on this channel. And then, of course, newsletter. So I'm going to find everything that we've done on that, because there's, I break it down, step by step on several things. But mainly, through it all, again, it's going to be that mental and spiritual activity that has to be intentional. So for me, when I learned about the our history, a lot of it being made up, if not most of it, I was like, oh, it simply means that, you know what? If somebody wants to talk to me about what might have happened in 1930, I don't need, no, that's the trick of the enemy, to keep living in the past. So we start to make these connections. We go, hold up a second. Museums, things like that, tricks of the enemy to keep people living in the past. So it gets easier to go, you know what? Let's forget about all that. Because none of that matters where Jesus has taken us. Let that sink in. All of that stuff that we were taught about that battle or that, none of that matters. God says, when ye hear of war and rumors of war, no, let not your heart be troubled, because the end is not by and by. Because God even knew that a lot of that rumors of war, recycled clips. And then common sense tells us, if we come across a documentary that happened to have a so-called reporter right there on the battlefield, you really think they're going to let them do that? Makes me think the world is a stage, right? So things like that, you start changing that thinking as you purge the subconscious of worldly garbage. So basically, it's a matter of, okay, so what information is going to serve a purpose in God's kingdom? Things from the past that, yeah, we don't need to live there. Because this fallen world has people doing that, continuing to live in the past by recycling same old fear-mongering narratives over and over again. So we forget about that stuff. Well, it's like, we see it there, but we know it's just the same old stuff. And that they're never going to solve those problems. So that's really the gist of it. But like I said, I'm going to get the other videos for you. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, you should still have it in the email. Okay, yeah, the BTBW newsletter, you all. Yes, you can sign up for your copy right at the bottom of the website. Okay, every month we put little tips and reminders and other things. Okay, yep, every month. And I do not bombard your email like these other places do. I don't do what the world does. I don't bombard your email with a bunch of additional things. Unless, let's say we have something new, a new book, a new whatever, you might get that occasional extra email. That's it. A new course when it's available, that kind of stuff. But as far as like how the Matrix does it, you know, how you get right, you sign up for some of these companies out here, sign up for email alerts, and then they just bombard your email with every single little sale they have going on. That's the narcissism side of marketing. We don't do that. That's pushy. So yeah. And listen, we continue to get that heightened awareness because, oh man, the more aware we become, the less any negative effects will occur because we are aware. You see, we got to become aware of something first, right? Okay, so being aware mentally, and spiritually. Remember, mentally being physical, then you've got your spiritual. Balanced. Heightened awareness helps us maintain that balance and stay connected in mind, body, and spirit, no matter what the enemy tries to do as far as trying to disconnect your physical body somehow. Because that's what he was trying to do, was see if he could numb, right, our autonomic nervous system. He was trying to see if he could recondition it, like re-traumatize. No. Not without us becoming aware of what's going on. Because each time I would feel a little something, I'm like, all right, Heavenly Father, what's that connected to? Oh, okay. So there you go. And I'm like, how do we break that association? It can be done, but it has to be intentional. That's the other thing about purging that subconscious. It's got to be intentional. So my tip that I give, okay, y'all, ask God every day, what is it that you need to purge from the subconscious? Because when you purge worldly garbage from the subconscious, that helps you to get more heightened awareness, right? Yeah, you're making room for God's wisdom, or more room, better yet. So it's important because heightened awareness helps you stay balanced. So yeah, we are 16. Yeah, there's 1,600 plus videos on the YouTube channel. Yes. And we continue to show up. I mean, we're not, yeah. Yes, they are on YouTube. We've got shorts, the pre-records, and of course the live stream, and then the shows, things like that. And so you'll find several different playlists, and you'll learn, you know, that I have come in every once in a while with an I stand corrected. Like if there's an older video and we were just going through some stuff at that time, we weren't aware of this or that yet, but later on we're like, oh my goodness. You know, so it goes like that. So it's kind of cool because if you catch one of the older videos, like in 2021, gives you a glimpse of where I was. Some of y'all might be where I was at that time in this awakening. So it gives you, yeah, you get to take a journey. That's why I said, welcome to the growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ. We are on a journey together in God's reality, in the spiritual awakening. We are on a journey together. So that's inspirational too, if you were not living in the past, but just to see how God hastens things on his time. And so it's like, okay. And then knowing that we have the teaching aspect. All right, so thank you, fellow warrior, again, because it does help to find the right teacher that can articulate it in its simplicity for you, what's going on, because it's not complicated. But the world, we know the world will love his own, right? Okay, well, the world loves to complicate things that aren't complicated. And so that's how that goes. But heightened awareness, definitely. Yep, new info, fresh perspective. That's it, exactly. So if you come across an older video, like, well, that's a little bit different than what she's got going these days. It's because at that time, I didn't know until later, so that kind of thing. So I do want y'all to keep that in mind. All right. And so there are things that resonate with us during different seasons, right? Remember, God's seasons are not the same as man's season. God's season, oh my gosh, it's on God's time. That's why we learn we got to trust him. And we know that he's always going to make a way for us. And so I want y'all to also remember that God will step in when the enemy tries to instill fear. And so God steps in and reminds us of what he tells us. And then, so that we don't allow the enemy tricks, even if he doesn't say anything, right? Even if he's showing you stuff out here or whatever, right? And he wants to plant seeds, right? Remember, that's what the enemy's all about with his subliminal messaging, trying to instill fear. Anytime you sense something or someone trying to instill fear, know that that is not from God, okay? Yes, that is not from God. That is from the enemy, and we don't allow it. We don't internalize it. We don't believe. The devil is a liar, so we don't believe his lies anymore, right? We continue to get that heightened awareness. A couple years behind me. Listen, all y'all are making progress. All right? Seriously, you are. You're making a lot of progress. I see it. Well, I mean, God sees it first, and then I see it. It's just, learning curves. That's it. Learning curves. Learning curves that we all have to go through. Okay, everybody? So I'm going to go and make sure I find those unlearning worldly garbage videos for you all. All right? Because I do have something I've got to take care of. I appreciate y'all's understanding and everything, but I'm going to go ahead and go get those in this description. So give it a few minutes or what have you. All right. And you can check on the replay, the description below. I'm going to have those in there. All right. And so that you can have those, save those to watch later if you need to, what have you, because those are going to have the tips that you need. And you'll be able to figure out additional ways that work for you as well. Because we do have to forget a lot of stuff that we were told about how we're supposed to live and all of that. All right, everyone? So, yep. Okay, so back to New Year's. Okay. Oh, that's right. The stress they cause to animals. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I know. I get it. Totally with you on that. So there you go, everybody. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur here and at CHAAcademyBTBW.com with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more. The link to the academy is in the description below, and some of y'all may need to copy and paste that link to view what CHAAcademyBTBW.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.